I just started voice lessons with this girl that it's like she's 13 or 14, and like it was her first voice lesson ever was last week. And I have her again today, and she's like such a sweet kid, but she's so anxious. Like we hardly got anything done because like we were literally talking about breathing because she's like so like her breath was so high. I was like, girl, we gotta like relax. She was like, yeah, can we just like focus on the breathing part for now? I was like, you bet.
Oh, that's what's kind of the thing about teaching is like recognizing when people like can't take that next step and kind of stop and focus in on what like. I remember in school I was really good at math, so like I would get done real early, like
all your math stuff.
And then like I would just walk around and help people on their math homework and tests and stuff, and they had no idea. They were just so like baffled by just multiplication and division and like simple formula math. Right. And I was just like, fuck man, all right, let's just break it down. Like so this is 1 + 1. This is 3 + 2. Times that together now, and then you have your answer. And you're like, oh, well, that was so simple. Why didn't anyone ever explain it to me like that? I'm like, because they're adults. Right. And once you hit this certain, like once you're about 25, your brain changes so much.
100%.
You've adapted so much to life and existence.
Right.
That it just kind of turns into this like wiser perception, but then like not as able to understand being like a younger mind, really. Like, like what would be the word?
You forget what it's like to be a kid, I think.
Yeah, prepubescent.
Yes. There's so many syllables in that word.
Prepubescent. Yeah, but no, I can't understand that because they're not that anymore. You know, they've moved past that. It's almost like you can't learn how to, like, you can't be a beginner at guitar again once you've learned to play guitar for 10 years. You just like know, and like anyone that doesn't understand, it's hard for you to explain
because it feels so easy.
Much knowledge.
I know. Well, but I'm finding that with teaching voice. Because it's been like I haven't myself taken a voice lesson since college, which was a very long time ago, like almost 10 years ago now. So it's like really strange to feel like okay.
Which happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. It's so weird to try and like pull and think about these processes that I do so naturally. That I don't I don't know how to necessarily articulate. Yeah. Like, okay, and so like, and I use all these weird analogies. I'm like, okay, so think about having like an orange in the back of your throat. Like that's how open you need to be. And this girl's looking at me like, say what?
Like, I have no idea what you mean.
You know, but like for me, that's like because I think visually, and so I'm like, okay, like the space is big back there, but you're thinking forward like a unicorn horn coming out your nose, like what?
Yeah, because yeah.
And
because it is that. It really turns into the different ways of learning. Like some people are better with reading out a sentence. Some people are better at watching a video. Some people are better at seeing someone do it in front of them. It's so strange. But to break those down and to understand those, I mean, that's what, like, you can be a good player in like a sport or a good singer. But not a good teacher. Not a good teacher.
Because you don't know how to explain what you're doing.
What you're doing, yeah. It takes a whole other mindset. It's a cool thing. I like talking to people like you. Like, I've had quite a few teachers on here now, and like, everyone's mostly they're like the most willing to learn themselves because they have to. Like, it's like we got to teach these kids, so we got to continue to learn.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a countdown and.
Yeah, sure. Sorry,
No, you're fine. No, yeah, no. That's how it always happens. Start asking questions. All right, Caden, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, you want to do the thing?
All right. 3, 2.
You talking to me? I'm talking to you. And this is Talking to Me, Talking to You. And I'm joined by the lovely Tommi Lea.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming out. Seriously.
Yeah.
No, I was really excited to get you here because we were just talking before. Like, you do a lot of shit. Like, so much stuff. Like, it's really impeccable. Like, we were just talking about your teaching and all these, in the different classes that you're teaching. So, like, you teach singing lessons, you teach dancing lessons, and now you're teaching theater lessons. So, and you do all that stuff yourself.
Yeah.
It's obviously. That would be considered. Isn't that called a triple threat?
Amen.
Isn't that a triple threat, right? That's what a triple threat is,
yeah,
right?
Singer, dancer, actor.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's for me, that's rare. I don't really see that often just from this little hometown Cincinnati vibe. I mean, I've not like indulged myself into the theater art world as much.
Yeah, well, you're more in the music scene, right?
Yeah, exactly. That music, and then like we dabbled into the cinema world, but that's just kind of our own independent. Like we're just gonna make movies, Like we didn't like jump into the scene and try to go and mingle or anything. We just kind of like we're gonna do the thing and just kind of see where it leads. Hopefully, that gets us involved in the scene by just doing our thing. But yeah, I mean it's cool. I did see one play at the Fringe Fest. My half brother actually starred in it.
Okay.
It was called man, I can't remember. I got a poster over in the wall, but it was great. It was a great play.
Clearly left a big impression.
Yeah, it was yeah. I can't remember the name of it. It's a tricky name, but it was a great play. I remember it was about this poetry writer in Cleveland, and he was kind of talking about like more. Like he said, like obscurities, what I mean? So he would write obscurities, and he was famous for it. And then one day he ended up reading obscurity at like a public thing, and it was like it was a poetry read, and then this kid read his poetry, not his, but he allowed a kid to read obscurity poetry, and so he got in big trouble in the news and lawyers and all that stuff because you couldn't say that stuff out loud. I don't know if you know much about like comedics, but like comedy, like saying obscurities in public was illegal for the longest time.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a crazy thing. So you couldn't say certain jokes, like that's where like a lot of using slurs and stuff in comedy came from.
Oh,
it's just purely from like not being allowed to say it was illegal. So that kind of like etched that history in comedy out. And that's where that comes from. That's why you see it so much now. That's why it's still kind of a part of it. It's cool. It's a weird history, like how social norms became the norm.
Yeah, that's really strange.
I can't remember what my original point was.
Yeah, no, we were talking about plays. You were saying you saw a play.
Yeah, so I saw his play, and that's kind of what it was about. It was really beautiful done. They used like multitudes of like color, and they would like set moods and all that.
See, I love it.
And I've never seen a play before that.
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, I think like because So my degree is in musical theater, right?
Okay.
So the combo situation is usually more what I go towards, but like I have such an appreciation for straight play actors because it takes so much more, well, not more, but just different way of like focusing your brain and I don't know.
You're trying to convey a feeling instead of seeing the feeling, I guess. Right?
Yeah. And it's a much more honest thing. Like so much of musical theater can feel very like put on, right?
Yeah.
You're not in the middle of a grocery store normally and like bursting out into song.
Yeah. No,
Whereas like in a musical, you do that. So, and which I love it because it is like the highest form of expression in a moment. And my teachers would always say, you break into song because speaking doesn't convey the emotion that you're like it's not enough,
Yeah.
So you feel so strongly that you have to sing about it. So to try to make sense of it is a little weird, but I don't know.
Like in Disney was a great example. Like they ruled the world of that kind of fantasization of like play style stuff for the last 100 years, and so that stuff is really where I get my kind of reference from. And me myself, I've never really been into musicals. Like the most musical stuff I watch is Family Guy.
Fair. They do a lot of musical episodes.
Oh, a lot. Oh yeah, they do really good pieces too. That's the whole thing that show got me into show tunes. Okay. Like Frank Sinatra and all those kind of guys, and it's just it's another unique musical genre, that like most people don't really get into, and that's like, we were at your sweet ass show, the Groovy Get Down with Tommi Lea, and you guys just played like basically disco hits, and I told you I'd never seen really anything like that. I'm sure it's happened around me, and I just didn't show up to it, but like it's just such a cool experience to just see these style songs played out, and you had like an awesome band surrounding you.
Right.
Man, it was fun getting the photos and video for that.
Oh my god, they were incredible.
Caden's photos turned out.
Yes.
They were really good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the video was amazing. I just I put a little clip on my story yesterday, and the amount of people that were like, "Wait, where the hell did you get this video? It's so good." I was like, "I know, right?"
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes. Fantastic.
That's all. It was fun though, and it was cool. Your outfittings and stuff, the way you guys like all dressed up, and like where the hell do you get your clothes?
Well, I'm a sucker for a theme party,
Yeah.
period. So, like, I'm always looking for things. That particular outfit, so my first act outfit, the gold
Yeah,
fringe top.
you did a costume
I did it,
change.
yeah, I love a costume change. I'm here for it.
Musical theater, yeah.
Yes, right? Like, you gotta do it. So, the outfit I wore in the first half, I ordered from Nasty Gal, which I have never ordered from them before, so I took a risk.
Nasty Gal.
Yeah,
I
and
like
that
the
shit is
name.
expensive. They,
Oh.
like, I mean, it's really nice stuff, but I'm used to, like, Shein and all these whatever that are, like, cheapy cheap,
Yeah,
blah,
I go
blah,
to
blah.
I go to the thrift store. The
Right,
Best.
right. So, like, I mean, but buying stuff online kind of makes me nervous, but I thought, you know what, I'll just try it, whatever. And I did, and it worked out. My white,
Especially something like that because
Right.
that's like tight stuff. So like if it don't fit,
you're screwed.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was, like, I had not bought a backup plan outfit, so I was like, if this does not work, I'm going to be scrambling.
You're
So,
praying,
but it
putting it
worked.
on.
Right. But the white outfit was like this, it was just a plain jumpsuit, and then my mom actually custom sewed the fringe on there for me, which I was
Okay.
like, love you, Mom, thanks. That was like awesome. But yeah. But everybody else, I told them, like, please dress in theme, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want the band to look
Disco as hell.
yeah. And so Keith, the guitar player, was
Yeah.
in that white leisure suit with the pink
That was with the
shirt.
fluff?
Yes,
Yeah,
like
that's
amazing.
perfect.
And I recommended that he go to, there's this shop in Reading, like where I live, and it's called Talk of the Town. And it is this vintage store, but they also have like costumey stuff. So like the whole first floor is all authentic vintage clothes. And then you go upstairs and it's all like costume stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got the shirt in the authentic portion or the costume portion, but either way, he looked badass.
No, it looked great.
But
I end up
that's like
giving
my
Nick
favorite shop.
I end up giving Nick my sunglasses. Like the drummer needs to be wearing
He needed them.
sunglasses.
He needed them.
Sunglasses are always on the drummer. He's like, "Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a thing. It's
It-
a thing, man.
It should be a thing.
You can't see nothing. They can't see you, man."
Right.
No, and that was cool. And that was at the Reading
Community Arts Center.
So, and you guys have kind of like revamped that and like turned it into like you do classes there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're doing shows there, and I'm sure you do a whole bunch of other kind of stuff.
And we're also a wedding venue.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a place to have a wedding
Yeah,
for sure. I was
yeah.
gonna guess that one next. So what? How did you guys end up getting into there and redesign that? Like, what was the big idea? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So my mom is a visual artist.
Okay.
And an art teacher, and she has been for a million years, almost as long as I've been alive. She actually started the art program at my elementary school. Fun fact.
Oh,
They
cool.
had none, and we were just doing like crafts in class. I was in first grade, and
Making
she,
macaroni art.
Yeah, and she didn't like that, so she came in and started teaching art once a week to my class only, and then the school was so jealous that they hired her.
Oh,
so she's been an art teacher for like forever.
Very cool.
So she was working at the Green Acres Foundation, which is this really fancy pants place in Indian Hill, and it's this giant mansion that they've turned into a center where kids that are like from underprivileged schools that don't have programs like arts and extracurricular programs like that. So they bring them in for field trips, and so that's where my mom was working previously, and it was incredible, like wonderful, wonderful place. She absolutely loved it. But during COVID, they let her go, which was super unfortunate. She was very like lost. I mean, she'd worked there for like 7 years, so it was sort of this like, what do I do now, you
Yeah.
know? And so during that time, like my mom is a prayer, right? She's a religious person. Go Jesus.
St. Joseph's right there.
Yes, amen. So she was praying on it, and she woke up one morning, and I happened to be staying at my parents' place that weekend, and I wake up, and she's like, "Tommy, I've been up since 6 o'clock. I'm just brimming with ideas." And I was like, "Wait, what? Can I get a cup of coffee first, like before we like go into this? Like, please." And so she takes me downstairs, and she's like, "All right, listen." So God told me, I was praying, and God told me that Reading needed an art center, and I was like, "Okay, please explain, elaborate for me here." She said, "Well, I already found a building that's for lease. What do you think?" So she showed me pictures of this building, and she's like, "It's really big. It's 16,000 square feet."
Yeah, that's huge. It's got 3 floors, right?
Yeah, three floors, and eventually a rooftop bar.
Ooh.
So that's like phase 5 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she finds this building online and is looking at the pictures, and I mean, it needed a lot of work, but it was like a big empty open space, right? And they were only wanting to lease it. The man who owned it only wanted to lease it. And she thought, well, should we go look at it? So we did. And it was just, we walked in and it was like, the potential in here is amazing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we walked up to the third floor and I was like, this is a theater. Like, this room in here, like where we had the Groovy Get Down. And especially because my mom and I both are the artistic types, so our brains are just like, this is this and this is it, like it was.
Because right there in the upstairs, there's an art room, and then there's a dance room with a giant mirror.
Like, and like bars and stuff. And I saw all that in my head, like the very first time we walked in. Like we walked into that room where the dance room is, and I was like, this is perfect for like a dance studio. We could have mirrors and like bars, and so this all kind of like is happening very quickly. But the guy, really, really was intent on just leasing it, but we thought with all the work and the money that's going to have to go into it, like we need to own it. Yeah. I'm sorry, like it would be pointless. So I got to be a little friendly with the girl who had shown us, because the man who owned it actually was in Israel. He's originally from there, and he had gone to visit family and got stuck there during COVID.
Oh, yeah. So, there's a lot of those stories.
Right. So his like liaison that opened the building for us and showed us, I chatted with her and was like, yeah, we're going to offer this and do this for kids and all these art enrichment programs and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I love it. Like, she was just all about it. Like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. I'm going to talk to him. Like, I'm going to tell him that like he needs to sell this to you guys.
Give it to you, yeah.
And so he wound up giving in, and we purchased the building, and that was October 15th of 2020. And then we had our opening celebration last year on October 15th. So we did a year's worth of work. There was still some more stuff that got completed like after that, but
of course,
it is what it is.
It's always
it's always going to be a work in progress. It's like a 100-year-old building.
That's so awesome though, like for that just kind of like to happen like that. And like, and what's your mind, like, with the praying thing, for me, that's just manifestation. That's just like putting your mind to something and making it happen, and whatever way people have to find that, dude, get it. Like, whatever way you find it,
absolutely,
that's the way to get it. Because what a beautiful thing that's now created. Because with buildings at least that big and that many rooms and that many like different teachings of different sections of art, that's a thing you don't see outside of the city limits.
Right, I agree.
So it's nice to see, because I went to school right up the street here, and as I was in high school, which this was 2011 to 2014-ish, they slowly were getting rid of all of the extracurricular stuff. So that stuff was going out. Music was going out, the shop was going, like the wood shop was going out, welding was going out, all that stuff. Like the skills that you could learn to actually obtain to go into an adult world with were just being shipped off to the trade schools. And then they just like, do you want to go to a trade school?
You're like, well, no, I just want to go to regular school, but I want to be able to do what I want to do in my regular school.
I don't want to be sectioned into one exact field, and that's just how I felt at the time. But yeah, it's nice to see like an upcoming of more stuff like that and people like you guys making attempts to do that.
I totally agree. For me, like, I was not an athletic kid. Like, I played sports because it's what you did in grade school, right?
I'm average about everything. I did music, sports, all this.
You gotta try it all, right?
Yeah.
See what sticks.
Master of none.
Exactly. But like, I wanted to be able to provide an opportunity for the kids who were like me, who didn't necessarily like love playing sports.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like they fit in, on the sports teams, to have somewhere to go where they feel like they fit in and they can be themselves and like express themselves creatively. Because I think that's, the weird kids that turn into amazing musicians and fantastic visual artists and videographers and photographers and all these things. Like,
sure.
Those are the kids that we need to foster. Like, I want to like just hold them close to my chest and like give them a big hug and like, it's okay to be weird.
It's great.
I don't know. I just think like I see so much potential in the next generation, and I really believe that it's very selfish if you are somebody that has a passion for something and you don't pass that passion on.
Yeah,
that's very true. Like I really, really take so much pride in this and sort of venturing in this part of my life, because I never thought that I would be here right now. I just turned 31 and I'm like doing all the things I'm doing, and it's just crazy.
Good age, like really.
Yeah.
Like a lot accomplished at a young age. Like seriously, most people like oh, I did it all at 40 or oh, at 50, you know.
Right. And I mean, it's never too late,
Yeah.
right? Like,
no, never, yeah. I mean,
but I will say, I think like I've lived a lot of life in my time. Like I've done a lot of things. I've seen a lot of places. Like,
the best example of that is, so in our field of film, when we're doing film, name me a director that's younger than 30 years old.
I have absolutely no idea.
There's none. There's not many.
Not that art is like reputable, right?
Yeah,
Like,
most directors in film are older than 30 when they make their first big break, you know, and it's insane. And it just makes me look at myself like, man, maybe you chose the wrong thing, bro. Like, you need a lot of skill.
No, but maybe it doesn't happen until
It just
after
takes
30. because
experience and dedication.
you got to
to
work
it.
your way up,
It's
right?
literally
And,
that.
like,
yeah.
you're not gonna create a masterpiece. Well, maybe you would, but like, you're
You
not gonna
can.
create a masterpiece at 18 and then that be like the mark that you make and then you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think it's a process of building up your repertoire and like your resume, right? So maybe that's why.
Just getting good at your thing.
Yeah,
you know,
like it takes practice.
Yeah, 10,000 hours, right?
Right.
But you, like you were saying, so you have traveled around the world. What kind of places have you seen? Like, where you been?
Oh my God, where haven't I been?
You talked about being on a cruise line. I think the first time I met you. Did you sing on the cruise line? Of course.
Yeah.
You did. That's what I assumed.
So I was in the entertainment department. So I did like production shows. I worked for Royal Caribbean, and yeah,
big time.
Yeah. So it was incredible. Like, it was such an amazing experience until it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, I loved it until I didn't anymore.
That makes sense.
And
yeah.
my priorities were changing.
It's very
so
niche. I feel like being on cruises and doing that kind of stuff.
Well, the lifestyle is just really hard. Like, the performing opportunity is amazing, and the traveling. I mean, so like my first contract was pretty basic. I was like based out of Miami going to the Caribbean, which like
makes
fine.
Sense.
No,
you just
that's
go in
easy.
a circle around.
Yeah. Like, went to Royal's Private Island. I've been to Nassau, Bahamas, where Atlantis, that like resort that they made the Mary Kate and Ashley movie at. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah.
So like I've been there so many times I wanted to throw up. Like
I don't want to go there.
No, I got into like a routine. I would literally like get off the ship, go to Dunkin' Donuts, get Wi-Fi and an iced coffee, and then like go to this place for chicken wings, and then like get back on.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't doing the touristy things. I was like, okay, I just like, I was
You've seen
over
it and done it. Yeah.
So there, I could live without ever going to again. But my second contract, I was like a crazy opportunity. It was like right before, because the thing is with those, you never know like what's coming next. Like, and they will either offer you something or they won't.
Yeah.
And so like,
very contractually.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like 6 to 10 months, basically. Yeah. So I was in the last week on my first contract, and I hadn't heard anything about a next one. Like, I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I guess I'll just go home and see what happens after this. 4 days before we were signing off, I get contacted by this music director, and she was like, any chance you want to take like 3 days vacation and then come back for rehearsal? And I was like, and she was like, you'd be going to do Australia and Asia. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in. So, I mean, you had me there. So like, it was insane. I had 4 days off to like come home, see family, repack my life, and go away again. And this one was for 10 months. So I had just been away for 7. And then...
And how old were you when you were doing this?
25.
Okay, so you were like middle of the 20s. Wow,
yeah.
Good time to do that.
Oh, it was perfect. I was like uncommitted. I was like just living my best life. So we rehearsed for a month in Miami, which is great. That's like that's where their studios are, which was like awesome. And then I flew to South Korea, was where I picked up the ship. And then did like Hong Kong. We were all over. We did like China, and we did Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore. At one point we were out of Singapore, like based out of Singapore, so that was where we picked up guests from. And so like then we'd go Singapore to a couple different places in Malaysia, and that was incredible. Like, Singapore is so beautiful. Oh my God.
So being there, like, I assume you wasn't there very long. You probably just do a show and then leave of some sort, or do a couple.
You always do the shows on the ship.
Oh, okay.
But you get like visiting hours basically to like go out like when you're in port. So when the ship is docked, you've got like 4 to 6 hours to like explore and then come back.
Okay, so where would the shows take place? Would it be taking place while you're out on the ocean, or would you port in the, okay,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
okay, and so so the guests would just be people from these different varying countries. Okay, did you I had a question if you end up learning any of the languages just by having to be there. But you're technically not like
no
in there too much
like,
to have to deal with that.
when we were based out of China, like all the guests were Chinese, like
Yeah.
all of them.
That makes
so,
sense. They all spoke like Mandarin
Yeah.
or a dialect of it.
And so like
Or
the show that I
Cantonese or something
did,
like
it's Mandarin, yeah.
Yeah.
The show that I did at the time, there was like a lead character, right? That was this, so it's called Spectra. And Spectra in the American version would say English things, but in the version that we were doing at the time, Spectra would like speak Mandarin to the people,
Yeah.
and say certain things like Chinese phrases. And I was the understudy for that role, so I had to like learn all these things. I felt like such a dummy, like trying to not sound stupid. I was like, this is absurd, but it's fine.
It feels weird speaking a different language.
Yes.
It's
They
very
have-
different culture.
Yes. My poor friend, she's so like super short. I think she's like might be like 5'1", 5'1".
Oh, so you were actually probably taller than most people on that cruise, and at least through that line.
Well,
Yeah.
and okay, I had this one friend, his name is Carson. He's like this beautiful blonde Ken doll looking man. And like when we were in Japan, we would be like having lunch in a park, and like all these little Japanese girls would be like giggling and like
Yeah.
have their phones like taking pictures of him,
Yeah.
and then like they would like we would walk up because he's like, I know they want my picture, which I mean they did. He'd walk over to them like, do you want a photo? And they'd all be like,
Yeah.
you know, like
seen anything
no,
like him.
like you look so foreign to
Yeah.
them, right? You're somebody that they've only seen like in movies.
Literally.
So it's like so bizarre, and I had red hair at the time too, so I was like a white girl with red hair,
They're
and
like,
they're
"Whoa."
like, "What was that, Ariel? Like she looks like a mermaid."
Literally, I was
What
gonna say
that?"
Hercules with the blonde hair, big physique. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and it's so funny, and it's for us. So being American, our culture is so deep within so many cultures that like for us, like when we see people of different ethnicities, it doesn't really surprise us. We're not like
Right.
oh, we've seen
It's
many
normal.
different people like
Right.
you know. So, but them, there's none of that. Like
Right.
it's very one dimensional, and that's why like I think America is kind of great in a way, like
it's a
'cause we're
melting
blend
pot, for
of
sure.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what's beautiful. Like we have the most different languages in our little states here. People just speak a whole bunch of different stuff. We were looking into that the other day. It was really interesting. I don't know if you got to see any of the indigenous people that are off on the west coast of Australia, but same, like a lot of them speak a very specific language, and it's
Well,
just
and New
neat.
Zealand as well.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah,
Maori, I think, is the. I don't know if that's a language or.
is it them or
that's-
Iceland that do the chants? I think they both do.
Oh, the
but-
Maori absolutely do.
Yeah.
That was like a cool thing in some of the ports in New Zealand, like because obviously we go to places that are tourist traps, right?
Yeah, of course.
But
all culture.
right.
Just swamp you with culture.
But a lot of the guests during the Australian season were it was a lot of like American people or Canadians that would like go over, and oftentimes there'd be like a show, like a cultural like performance happening like outside of the port, and you're like, part of me would wonder, like, do they want to be doing that? Is that like insulting to their culture to be like, oh yeah, here, let's do our native dance that's sacred to our culture for a bunch of stupid white people?
They aren't going to understand any
like
of this. Yeah.
like, is it offensive to make them like? Because to
No,
me,
no, 100%. And as a funny looking white guy, I would have like go there to watch it for the culture. I mean, yeah, no, for sure. Like, it's a weird. It's that's what's cool about just it's yin and yang, like opinions, life, all that. It's beautiful to look at those both perspectives because it is that you're 100% correct. But also, I would be one of those just to go check it out.
And yeah, I
'cause
mean,
I'm
it was
interested,
cool. It was beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like, this is amazing. And
from my perspective,
Yeah.
oh, I love this. Is awesome. I'm learning a new thing. And then from their perspective, it's like, goddamn tourists. I've seen thousands and thousands
Right.
of you fuckers.
right.
And I get both those, and I enjoy that people can have both those because there's somebody in that line going, we're sharing our culture with all these people. They're coming to learn a brand
Right.
new thing about us as people, and so it's beautiful in its sense because like that's like checking yourself almost like you're checking like what is this intentionally, but no, I did want to talk to you about though you've been a musician your whole life, but you've never released any music, correct?
Correct.
As a solo artist.
Correct.
So you have recently though recorded
Yes.
some solo music.
Yes.
I got to see you perform it at the last Crooner Circus with Nick Heffer on guitar.
Yeah.
I asked Nick, I'm like, hey, Nick, man, when did you learn Tommy's songs? I mean, they're new, right? I mean, this is a new thing, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, when did you learn? He's like, yesterday. I'm like, of course you did. Of course you learned them yesterday.
Yeah.
And he got out there and just killed it with you, and you do great as always. And I like your style songs because they feel poppy. They have all those pieces of like the music and stuff that you do. It just feels like you're just coming right off the page. And so, how excited first off are you to finally get to do that?
Oh my God.
31 coming out your first record.
Yes. It's just crazy. I sort of always had this mental block about writing music, right? I don't know, you're not good enough to do that. You can't do that. You have nothing to say, or whatever. I don't know. And I, for a long time, would say to myself, oh, well, I don't hear melodies in my head, right? I've always liked to write physically, poetry or just creative writing, that kind of thing. But I never let myself access the part of my brain where the music was, I guess,
Yeah.
And so it's been very cool and very freeing in a way to be able to express myself through music. It's really cool. I honestly, big shout out to Matt Waters. He's been my writing partner in everything. Yeah. And it's so funny because I was feeling very sentimental that I got to do the September Crooner because that was the first one. The September last year was the first one I ever went to.
Yeah, I remember seeing you there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so at that I had just was recently involved with Blue Water Kings band.
A year ago already?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
So I'm at this crooner and Matt performed, Sunday Drives performed, Noah was there obviously, and Noah asked me oh, do you write? I got introduced to Noah. I was like, oh no, and Matt talks to me and he's like, do you write? You should really consider it. And I was like, it's just not my thing. I don't know. And he's like, look, your voice, because I had worked with him doing wedding band stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, your voice is so beautiful singing other people's music. I can only imagine how much better you would sound singing your own thoughts and your own music. Don't hold yourself back from it. Give yourself the chance.
Yeah.
So we set up a session and
I love Matt. He's such an inspiring
oh my
dude.
God, I know.
He's such
Well,
an inspiring dude.
and it's weird. We basically drank the same water growing up. It's very bizarre. We our elementary schools were rivals. Hilarious.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah. But we had a first session and did I write an amazing song? No. But it sort of opened the floodgates of wait, I can do this. It is in there.
Yeah.
I just need to let myself do it.
Write a bunch of bad stuff down and then turn it into good stuff slowly and surely. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think too, especially that first day was very much just processing some emotional trauma or whatever.
Yeah.
Of oh yeah,
what do
this
you
really
want
hurt, and I'm trying to put it into song, and that's a song that I will never release or do whatever. I actually did it at a Matt's Monday Muse and cried in front of everyone there. That was horrifying. But it's fine. So, but the songs that have come post that first sort of moment, I'm so proud of, and it's it's really cool because I feel they really are authentically me, and that's awesome.
So you're telling me so that first song you made was more of a sadder, more revelating kind of song, and then the ones right after you got past that were the more uppity,
the pop,
fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Because I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people can't really write music unless they're sad. What you did is you got past the sadness with one song, and then just created a bunch of. Wow, that's really interesting, Tommy. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. But
You see, that's a head-on take on it. It's you just kind of attacked that emotion once, got it out of your way. You're all right, I dealt with that, and then you hit all these other strides of enthusiasm and stuff. That's really interesting, Tom. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know. It's nice. And my process is weird too because I don't I play piano, quote unquote.
Two notes at a time.
Yeah. Well, I played growing up, for 10 years growing up, and then haven't touched a piano in a really long time. So I'm trying to get back to it.
Okay.
But so I will hear a melody or something in my head and in a little section, a chunk of words, and I record a voice memo, and then that's what I go to Matt with, and I'm like, hey, he's like, you got anything cooking? I'm like, yeah, actually, here's this. What do you think? And then he'll just he'll be like, okay, play it again, and play out
Well,
you know,
yeah,
the
yeah, what
guitar
you're doing.
part based on what I sang or whatever. And so, which I don't know if that's how other people do that. That's just
100% how it happens.
like, it's cool. I don't know. I'm like, this is weird and fun and exciting and thrilling because I don't know what it's going to turn into. But like one of the songs, so like Ruin You, I went to him and I was like, okay, look, I have like this little chunk of lyrics, but like this is a horn part in my head. Like I can hear the horns. It's a horn line. And he's like, okay, like let's run with
I
it.
got the best story for you. Michael Jackson
Okay.
literally said that. So he was took to court for a copyright law thing, and they were trying to say that he stole a line or a melody or something from this other artist, and Mike was like, no, I would never do that. Everything I think of is in my head. I have the whole song thought out already before I even record it. I got the demos on my phone. And it's literally going... He's humming the song before he made it. Like, it's him, like, with a phone. He goes, listen to this. And it's... And he's like, those are the horns. Those are the little horns right there. It's like brilliancy just comes in the mind and you release it. Like... It's just funny how like someone tried to like sue him.
Right. Like
and he's
you
like,
didn't make that. He's
no,
like,
dude,
I literally did.
You can't make up music. It's 12 fucking chords.
Right.
You can't take it.
Right.
Like unless it's super intricate and
Right.
like you use multiplications of tone.
Because everything is inspired by something else.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like all the time. But like, because my brain works in like mashups, right? Like I'll hear a song like on the radio and then like I'm singing the other song that the chords are the same or whatever, like, you know.
Nick
and
just
that's,
did that at RJ's.
Right. Well, but that's something fun that like Nick and I do a lot when we duo together. We've figured out so many mashups for things. Like one of the first days we were rehearsing together for a gig, he was playing... I think he was playing Say My Name on guitar, okay?
Okay.
And I started singing Cry Me a River because that's what I thought that it was.
I did the same exact thing.
And so now we do that like that. We mash those up together and it's sick. But it's like...
He was at RJ's and he did Katy Perry's...
Teenage Dream and Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, Teenage Dream
Yeah.
and Dreams from Fleetwood
know.
Mac. He started... playing the chords and I was like, oh, there you go again, you say.
And he's like, you think I'm pretty without any makeup
I was like, you motherfucker. Why you gotta get me like that, dude? He's I love stuff like that. But that's literally the purest form of that example. Is like, you can't, like, there's nothing more, like, if you go ba-na, you don't own that.
Right.
You can't own that. You
Right.
don't, like, and it's just ridiculous that people think, what's the guy from Kiss? Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons thinks he tried to trademark this.
On what planet,
Right?
my dude?
He tried to trademark that, I'm pretty sure. And then, what is it? Black Sabbath's Dio was doing that before, and he got pissed. He's like, my grandma used to do this when she saw people that she thought was satanic and point at them down the streets of Brooklyn, whatever he lived. And he's like, you can't fucking trademark this. My grandma was doing this shit. You know, that's not rock and roll. That's the devil, son. He's like, it's just, you can't. Like,
Right.
Human society, like, this new way of, like, writing on a piece of paper going, well, this is mine. It's like,
Right.
you can't
good
own
luck.
I'm
No.
Like, you go in this building, that's cool. You can own a building, that's fine.
Right, property.
You can't own words. You can't
NFTs,
own...
I don't even...
I still don't understand them.
No, and I'm like...
Non-tangible fund? Is that what that means, Caden? Oh, Caden don't know.
I've never really...
Yeah, like, it's a weird thing. I'm like... And all these, like, when I think of NFT, I think of Kanye. And again, showing how not hip I am. I literally have no idea, like...
No clue.
So you're telling me you can own a thought? No.
That's not how it works.
But I also think Bitcoin and all that is weird, too. And I know that's, like, the future. But I'm so behind. I'm old-fashioned. Like, give me a gold bar, okay?
Yeah.
That's...
Well, it's funny because in music, people try to do it all the time. But in movies, I mean, it's literally just... copy paste and nobody says a thing, like,
Right.
because you can only use certain amount of framing. Like, if I do this angle, am I copying the guy that used the same angle? You know what I mean? Like, math is math, bro. You can't
Right.
own numbers.
No.
And it just turns into this ridiculous concept of what's mine's mine. It's like, just because you have an idea doesn't mean that you thought of it first. 5% of human beings have original thought.
5%?
5% of human beings have an original thought, or inventors, or creative of the newest breed of what is to be original. It's crazy to think about. Like, really, like, it just doesn't exist in a concept. We all learn and take information in. To take in enough information and then put the dots together yourself and then create something new, that's the impeccableness of what the human mind can do. But it's rare. It is very rare. Everything we've ever done, nothing I've done for the most part of my life would be original. You know, 100%.
Right.
Like, this is purely a thing that I created. I was the first to do this thing.
Well, because we're beings that function hugely by inspiration, right?
100%.
So you see something and it makes you think about XYZ.
Love it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. We are inspired.
It's great. it's cool to think about and try to understand it, you know. Well, the last thing I want to talk about before, you know, I let you go is you turned 31. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
And then you bought a house.
Yes, I
So
did.
not only did you get the Reading Community Arts Center to play in, but now you have a new house to play in.
Yes!
And that's right down the street, isn't it?
It's literally across the street. I walk across the parking lot and I'm in my house. Like, my current commute is already like 30 seconds. Well, now in my home, it will
10
be
seconds.
like literally. I can sit and have my morning coffee and like make sure nobody's like doing anything in our parking lot.
So when you say it's across the street, you actually mean it, instead of like what Ohio's talk about where it's like 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah, no, literally, like, yeah, for real, like literally across the street. It's perfect. And it's really small, but it's exactly what I needed, and I'm thrilled. I've never owned a house before. This is like my first home, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to do with it exactly what I want and make it as girly as I want,
Yeah.
or like,
Pink it up.
I am painting my ceiling in my living room pink.
Oh, you should. 100%. Hot pink.
Like, it's like a watermelon.
We got
It's
pink
cute.
walls in here. I don't know if you've seen them.
Right. Like, I don't know. I think it's exciting to be able to create a space and to really like make it my own. And I am a maximalist. I do not believe in this whole like minimalist lifestyle where people are like, oh yes, and everything in my home is white and beige and gray and
I hate it.
tan. And
I hate it.
Ugh.
The
Why are
only-
you doing? You can't keep that clean.
You know what I hate right now? I hate this fucking carpet. This is the worst
My
thing
house
in my
has no
entire
carpet.
house.
Praise the Lord.
You're lucky. I hate this carpet. It's like, why is it skin color? Why is it the skin color? Like,
I know.
why is there why is it a rainbow?
Like 4 shades within
It's
the.
got blue and orange and red and green and all these colors, but it makes beige.
Yeah.
Why?
I hate
That makes no
carpet.
sense.
I hate carpet.
It's gonna be a fun few years for you at least. I mean, just being right there across from each other, you know, it's gonna be a
The
good.
convenience factor, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
I know. Well, and that's the thing. My mom is my boss. I live, 5 seconds from work. I have no commute. Like, I have zero
You're
excuse
doing
to
art
ever.
as your job.
Yes.
Wow, you have the most fucking awesome, convenient life I've ever heard of.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I got goals now. I'm gonna match your
Live right by your
match your
work.
life.
It's a vibe. It's definitely the vibe.
Well, technically, mine's like a room over.
Exactly.
You got my podcast / room, and then I got my office.
Right. See, it's all about convenience. In my old age, I'm realizing I'm lazy and I like stuff that's convenient.
In my elder age, I said that like last podcast, and then someone looked at me and were like, "Dude, you're fucking 26. You can't say that yet." I'm like, "Dude, I'm a lot older than I was 10 years ago."
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, but I think, that's so much of it too. Is like, I don't feel like I'm an old person by any means, but then sometimes like I look at like my nephews are 13 and 16 and I look at them and think, oh my God, they have like so much more life ahead of them.
Oh, so it's crazy.
Like that I lived, and like that's a tough time. Like
10
high
years
school
is a long time.
Yeah, well, and like high school's rough, and like you're trying to figure yourself out and like who am I and what do I want in this world, and then realistically, you don't have any idea. Like I didn't know, and like
You didn't find it till recently,
yeah,
probably.
like until I was older. I mean, granted, I was lucky enough to be a kid that was passionate about something. I was just having this discussion the other day, how it's like insane to me that we expect like 17, 18-year-old kids to know what they want to do for the rest of their life.
No, it's crazy.
That is wild to me. But I was lucky enough to be a kid that was passionate about something. Like I started doing theater when I was 11 years old. Like I knew I was singing before that. Like I knew that I wanted to do that. That was my passion. That was where my heart was. I was like, I want to be a star when I grow up, right?
Yeah.
And I followed that, and luckily my parents were super supportive. My family is like amazing, and they're so proud of everything that I've accomplished, which is like awesome. And we're always, go do it. I think having artistic parents, like my mom being an artist, was why she was so willing to be supportive, But like, that's not every kid.
No,
like
you're not at all.
I'm a rarity in this world.
Well, me, I mean, I've been an artist and played music since I was like 11 years old, and my mom was supportive, but she wasn't, and she didn't do any of that stuff. She was like, "Do what you want, sweetie," like whatever you want to do. But I didn't necessarily get that, but I made my own way and found my own artistic value through it, and I tried a lot of different shit,
But you have to, you gotta try it all and see what you actually like or what works for you. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you didn't just like wake up one day and decide you wanted to do film. Like maybe you like thought about that or like tried other things, and then you're like, wait, this is really cool.
I'll give you I'll give you the story to kind of close it out. So me and Caden. So Caden, we worked together on this show. It was called The Late Show with Corey Phillips, and we did it for like two years, 2.5 years.
I've heard about this.
Yeah. A lot of people have. We were studying it up for a good while. But we did that for like 2.5 years, and it was just this goofy, comedic, but very local, supportive, music supportive. Like, we would have acts, and like a lot of people you probably know. Nick was on there a few times. Infinity Spree, they were on there a few times. Lots and lots of people. We had like 55 episodes or something like that, and it was a weekly show.
Wow.
Live. Yeah, it was crazy. We just jumped right into that.
That's amazing.
That was our first like thing in like the digital realm of this.
That's badass.
And so we did that for a while. And Caden would always kind of mention off to me every once in a while like how he wanted to do dramatic films and stuff like whenever this was over. And I'm like, yeah, dude, we can try that. I mean, I've seen like a few series and movies that I was like really into, like Breaking Bad, Dexter, Walking Dead. Any like Quentin Tarantino movie.
Those are all like cinematic, like really serious.
I liked all that stuff a lot, and I'm like, well, dude, I have these like things, and Caden hadn't seen a lot of that stuff at the time I was talking to him. I'm like, well, dude, we're gonna watch this shit, and then we'll kind of go off this. And
inspiration.
Use example, yeah. And then that project ended, and it went about a year. We didn't really do anything. We just kind of nothing, like literally nothing for about a year, and then we just decided to go to our buddy Dylan's house, who does all the music and stuff in our film, which he was also a part of The Late Show. He was a co-host. And we went there and just chatted with them. We're like, man, we want to do something. We don't know what. Like, we want to start doing these films possibly, but we don't really, like, we don't know. We just want to do something, And he's like, and we just kind of got drunk and wine and just bullshitted. And then Dylan ended up leaving for a minute. He cut himself, so he went to bandage himself up. On the wine bottle, we had to break the wine bottle open.
Dylan couldn't get
the cork out. We had to break it open. So we drink it. We're goons, yeah. And then so he went away, and then me and Caden just looked at each other and we're like, dude, what the fuck can we do tomorrow? What can we do tomorrow? And that's when we made our first short, was just the concept of there's a guy, he's walking out of a house, he's frustrated, there's something going on, he's kind of leaving an argument of some sort, and then he gets in his car and he leaves, and that's it. Let's just do that tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. And then we did, and that kind of started our chapter into the filmmaking. And it really, I never really thought about doing it until he mentioned it, and I'm like, well, dude, I mean, we're partners now, so I'm going to do whatever you do.
Yeah.
And then I got all this stuff that I would love to do similar to, and me, I'm a chatty catty. I have ideas and ideas and ideas. Someone feeds me idea. I go, oh, I got 16 ideas off of your one idea.
Right.
And so we just went with it, and we've done a lot with it. And
I love that.
We got decent, at least,
Yeah. I've seen your shit. It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll show you some more before you leave. But anyways, Tommy, Thank you very much. So much.
Yes. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been great having you. Seriously,
It's
you're
really
such
cool.
a delight. I really do like all the things you do. You're a great person. You're a role model for what young women could look at to be. You know what I'm saying? Seriously.
Don't make me cry out here.
But Tommy, seriously, thank you. I appreciate you very much.
Yeah, honestly, thank you for having me out. This
No
is cool.
problem, seriously. This been Talking Me, Talking You. Thanks for watching.